Hello, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to take a look at some of my decks that I have in my collection that I deem underrated in the sphere of TarotTube, tarot like on Instagram, TikTok, whatever, because I don't really see them being posted as much. So yeah, this is just what I deem kind of underrated, and I kind of just wanted to talk about them for a bit because I feel like people should know about these decks, or I don't know, people should just use them more. And yeah, I have about 10 tarot decks and then about, I believe, 13 oracle decks. The first deck I would like to talk about is my Matilli deck. This deck is so special to me because it is out of print. And also because I really just love it. I think it is very unique. But this is by Los Scarabeo. This is part of the Anima Antiqua series that they still have going on. This, I believe, is all sold out by now. But I was really happy to get a copy of this when I could. So it opens up like that. And what's so special about this deck is that it kind of has like a rich history, and it is not a normal tarot deck. It actually has 62 cards. Yeah, and the title says 62 cards. But it still functions as a tarot deck. And then it also comes with this little book. It's not a guidebook by any means, but it kind of goes through like the history of the deck. But because it only has 62 cards, it still functions, for me at least, as a functional tarot deck. And I just love the imagery on here. It is so fun to read with, highly accurate, and I feel like because you only have 62 cards, this deck kind of has to be a little bit more accurate with these readings because you don't have it's a little bit more limited than a standard tarot deck that's like 78 cards, right? But yeah, I absolutely love the imagery on here, and it is a pip deck, but it's like one of my favorite pip decks. And I love the shape of it too. It's more so, it's not like your typical RWS kind of size, like standard size. It's a little bit more longer this way. Kind of like a Fournier deck, I guess you could say. But yeah, first deck that I think is kind of underrated is my Matilli deck. And I do have a guidebook with this also. It didn't come with this Los Scarabeo set. I actually got it. I do have a guidebook for this deck. I got it on Etsy, so if you have this deck and you kind of want a guidebook, I recommend this one. And it goes into the history of tarot, the deck, and then also gets into like the card we've gone through the guidebook here. So as you can see, it says juggler, and this is like the magician. This king is actually the empress, and I kind of just did that throughout the majors. And then here are like what the write-ups for the minors look like. I really recommend you getting this guidebook, this mini guidebook to this deck, because it is helpful. But you can also just read this deck without it because it is a pip deck, and truly you'll know what that means. So yeah, my Matilli deck. The next deck I would like to talk about, it is quite different from the Matilli deck. It is this one, and it's different because it is 97 cards as opposed to Matilli's 62 cards. This is the Minicate Eturia, deck from 1725. I hope I pronounced that right. Published by Il Meneghello. And on the front of the box, we have the Sun card, and they're stamped right here. And then, of course, we have the little write-up. And then the number of my copy. And then here are the backs right here. Oops. Kind of slippery. But yes, this deck has 97 cards. We have the standard 78 zodiac signs, elements, and then the virtues all in one. And I really, 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 really love this deck. It is so fun to read with. Lo Scarabeo actually included this in their Anima Antica series, but I didn't get the chance to get a copy of it. It had already sold out. So then I found this deck. This was like when I first started it. Not first started. This is at the time I didn't know anything about Il Meneghello. So this was actually my first deck by them. And I, found it online. I was like, oh, okay. So that's how I ended up with this deck. And I really, really love it. I love like the sharp edges of it. I love the size of it. I love how it kind of feels uneven. And of course you're going to know that if you get an Il Meneghello deck. Because, they say it right on that piece of paper. But this deck is really fun, and I don't really see a lot of people talking about this deck either. It's really great to use in readings, and you just have a lot of options and a lot of great things that you could do with this deck. It's like different energies that you can bring into a reading, because you have the virtues, you have the zodiac signs, you have the elements that you can just easily see. Like this card is Gemini, which is perfect because I'm a Gemini. And then 2 of Cups. So it is a pip deck, but again, I personally like pip decks. I have quite a few in my collection actually. I think they're so fun to read with. But yeah, this is another deck that I feel like is kind of underrated. Briefly talked about this deck during my last video, so I'm going to go quick with this one. And I already took it out of this box. But it is the Chinese Tarot deck. Here are the backs. Oops. As I said, briefly talked about this deck already in my last video. This deck for my August reading, and the accuracy that I have been feeling and experiencing so far by using this deck is quite unbelievable. This deck gives like the best readings ever. I think this is the deck that I put in that category, the deck that gives best readings. And it is certainly true. I love the artwork of it. I love the stories that comes with it as well when you read through the guidebook. And it's just a nice deck to have. And again, another deck that I don't see people really talking about or using. Yeah, and it is mass market. So it is by US Games. So yeah, it's a nice deck. Okay. Then the next deck I also touched on in my last video. It is the Gothic Tarot. So I will also go fast on this one. It's deck is a lot of fun to use. I have actually edged mine in black. I think it really matches it and has a lot of cool things about it. I love using this deck whenever I'm just in the mood for it. It is so rich in its symbolism and the card meanings. It's great. It's great. This is definitely a deck that if you want to spend time with and sink your teeth into, this is the deck to do it with. It does come. You can get a guidebook. It's sold separately, a bigger guidebook, which I'll show you. But I mean, just look. Some of the minors are kind of pippish, but it doesn't really happen a lot within the minors. I think it's like minors, like the ace, 2, 3, that are kind of like that. But yeah. It does come with this little guidebook with the deck, but again, I'll show you the bigger guidebook. Let me see if I get to the major so you can see what that kind of looks like. Let me get the bigger guidebook. It's the bigger guidebook that you can buy separately, and it just has all of this great information. Let me go to like this page. So it's a judgment card. You get like a big print up of it, and then the write up. It's about 3 pages or so. Yeah, about 3 pages. And it goes like that. And it goes like that throughout the minors as well. But the minors only get like 1 page of a write-up. But it's still very informative. So that is the Gothic Tarot. I believe I talked about this deck in the other video as well. So I'll briefly go through it. It is my Revelations Tarot deck. I don't see a lot of people talking about this, and I'm not too sure why. Because this deck is very brilliant in its design and functionality. So this is a deck that you can use. Well, it helps you learn reversals by, like for example, for this card, it shows you the upright, what it means, what's going on. But if you flip it over, you'll see what the card means when it's reversed. And I feel like that is so helpful and useful for people who are trying to get comfortable with reversals, first learning them or anything like that. I read reversals all the time, so I'm pretty comfortable with it, but I still find this deck very useful, and I love using it. This is actually one of my favorite cards in this deck because you can see the upright, right, meaning of the card, see how it is pictured, but then when you reverse it, you just get this, right? I think that is so powerful, and it's one of my favorites. It's one of my favorites. The Chariot, right? And this deck is so good. It is so good. So hopefully you can see what I mean by that, about how you can use it for reversals. 4 of Cups. It's so good to use, and I really, really love it. 3 of Swords. This is really powerful, right? And then the guidebook is actually really good as well. I'll show that to you guys. sorry, it's kind of hard not to stop at every single card to kind of like look at it. um, but yeah, I'll show you the guidebook. I have to get it. Llewellyn publication. And here's the guidebook. So you get the card, a little quote, write up about it when it's upright, reverse, and then it gets into the images and symbolism, so then you know what you're looking at. And yeah, it's really nice. I don't see a lot of people talking about it, or I don't really see it in videos or pictures or whatever, but I think it is wonderful for people to have in their collection if they choose to have so. I think it's wonderful to have in a collection if you are trying to get to know how to read reversals, get comfortable, or if you're like me, know how to read with reversals and, you know, use it daily. But you still kind of want something unique like that. The manga tarot deck that I kind of bonded with. So I really love this one. And I don't see a lot of people talking about this one either. I, as with all my decks, really, I love them. So I'm sorry if I keep repeating that, but it is true. I think they are just wonderful. I've had this deck for a while. I etched it in black, but obviously I need to do it over again. Here are the backs. So it is not reversible because you can like see the difference, right? The symbol. But I mean, if you're not looking that hard, you won't notice. So here are some of the cards. I really like this deck and how it's set up. It goes in a different way. Like where we would typically see a woman presenting body, we will see a male, right? So in Temperance, we have this guy here. Right here in Strength, right, we see this male. In Judgment, it's usually a male presenting angel, right? But then we have this woman presenting angel. And it kind of just goes its own way. And also in this deck, the queens are ranked higher than the kings. So I think that's really, really, really interesting. I don't have another deck that kind of does that, and I'm not too sure of a deck that does that. So it's really nice to kind of see a little bit of a change. You know, this hermit, we see an old woman. And these symbols that you see on the cards are represented by the seasons. And this little guidebook does go into that. But I love this deck. I love the art style. I love how it's like colored, I guess. It kind of feels like watercolor. Oh, I love this death card. I love the sword suit as well. The devil. This is a really good depiction of the devil. It's one of my favorites. Oh my gosh. Justice. I will say I've had a lot of profound readings with this deck. It is so wonderful to use. Princess of Wands. And this would normally be a knight, but it's a princess. I love this card. Princess of Pentacles. Just her looking at her potential of what she could be. I love, again, sued in this deck. Oh my gosh, the Nine of Swords. Okay. Again, I've had a lot of profound readings with this deck, and I'm surprised that a lot of people don't really talk about it. The guidebook does a good job at explaining some of the cards. These are just the title cards. At, briefly explaining what's going on. Oops. And it's a Low Scary Bio deck, so it goes into like different languages. But I love it. I love using it. I think it is wonderful, and I'm honestly surprised with it being mass market. A lot of people don't know about it or, talk about it as much as I, feel like they should. So yeah, that was the manga tarot. Next print, I believe, so I am so sorry. It is the Titanic Tarot deck by R.J. Tomlinson, I believe. This was on Kickstarter a few years back. I think 2019, maybe. He did come up with another Titanic tarot deck. I think it's like Risen Spirits. I didn't get a chance to grab that one. And it is a unicorn deck for me. I really, really, really want that deck. So hopefully sometime in the future I can get it. I can get my hands on it. But anyways, this is the first version of the Titanic tarot deck that he did. Here's the back or bottom of the box right here. And then, yeah. If you want to go to his website or anything like that, it's right here. He has a lot of cool stuff going on. And he's made like other tarot decks too. That are like cool. I think like Alice in Wonderland, I believe. And Romeo and Juliet, which I also didn't get my hands on. It's not a unicorn deck, but I would not mind having it in my collection. But yeah. And then here's the guidebook. It is very small, but it's okay. This is just what it looks like. This deck does feature real people that were on the Titanic, so the guidebook will reference those people as well. So, here are the backs. This deck is honestly very profound. I really love using it. How can I say this? I wouldn't say that is it weird to say that I'm a fan of the Titanic? I feel like it's kind of weird to say because it is a tragedy, right? But I am very enthused about the Titanic, I guess I could say. So yeah, I just had to get this deck in my collection once I found out about it. What's interesting about this deck is that it's on this type of cardstock that I've never encountered before. And I've had this since it came out, like I think in 2019 or whatever. And I still don't have a deck with this kind of cardstock. It's kind of like plasticky, I guess, and it's glossy. It's really interesting. I personally like it. But I'm not a person that knows a lot about cardstock, honestly. So I don't know if I'm describing it correctly, but it is kind of like plastic. It's really interesting. But anyways, so to get into some of the cards, this is a pip deck, and the difference between this deck and the newer deck is that everything is illustrated. Everything is illustrated. So it's not a pip deck in the Risen Spirits, but this one, this first version that he did is. Yeah, I just wish I had the other one as well, because I love using this deck, but I would also love a illustrated version as well. But you can kind of see that this deck isn't completely like pipish, because as you can see, like in this card right here, right, we have, a mermaid. So there are some illustrations within, like right here, within this deck, but then you have cards kind of like this that are a little bit more pippish. This deck kind of gives you like a hint, I guess you can say, of what the card means. So it's a little bit of an illustrated deck, kind of like in a pippish deck, like kind of like in the middle, I suppose. World, Knight of Wands, King of Cups, Knight of Swords, Queen of Swords, Temperance, Three of Cups, King of Swords, Magician, Wheel of Fortune. I love this card. Judgment. I love this card. This is also one of the cards that you could like reverse as well. It takes on a different meaning. Isn't that wonderful? See the difference? So yeah, the Titanic Tarot deck. If you want this deck, maybe you can get a copy of this online if you are lucky. This is a mass market deck. It is the Lo Scarabeo from Lo Scarabeo. This is the After Tarot. Now, I have a bit of history with this deck. This is a deck that I don't really use all that much because I just do not know how to fit it into my practice. But I don't see a lot of people talking about it. So I don't use it all that much, but I'm also not seeing other people use it, which is interesting. But anyways, it's in my collection. So basically, this tarot is one moment after the RWS, and obviously it is mass market, easy to get. It comes with a nice guidebook. Well, I'm going to say something about the guidebook. But I really like the production of this deck. I actually love the cardstock of it. I'm not a cardstock snob. I don't know anything about cardstock really. But the cardstock that they printed this on, it is really nice. And I wish they did this with their other decks as well. Like, because I think it is just phenomenal. Like, I love it, actually. It is glossy, it's slippery, but it's like, it just feels a little bit more luxurious than their other kind of cards, other decks. So just looking at some of the cards, as we can see, the star, right, is now in the body of water. Page of Wands, is traveling. The kids are playing, right? The Hermit with the snake, and then the watchdog. Temperance. Strength. She is finally hugging the lion. The Hierophant. Showing the book, right? The Hangman has help. Judgment, being reborn. The devil. The people right here are kind of giving into like their addictions and whatnot. The World. So it is a nice deck to have. I'm just not too sure on how to use it and how to fit it to my practice. I think I would use this deck more if I liked the guidebook. Which is just kind of funny. As you can see in the Nine of Pentacles, we can see the bird flying away. Don't have the glove. We still get the snail here. And then getting some grapes. Admiring his achievement. Now you have a person right here, right? With the Two of Wands. Ace of Pentacles. The beetle, right? I think that's a beetle. Yeah. Uh, Seven of Swords. The thief is going to get captured probably. The Knight of Swords. I love this one. Attacking. The Five of Cups. See somebody right here. And we can see the person slowly turning to the Two of Cups. They're no longer looking at what's spilled, what is wasted. They're slowly turning around to see that they still have two cups standing, right? Three of Pentacles. This is finally finished. Four of Swords. Somebody coming with a white rose. Eight of Swords. We see somebody, helping her to get unstuck and, just being there. The Lovers. Knight of Wands. Eight of Wands. Someone taking things into their own hands. King of Swords. I love this card. And then Five of Pentacles. So yeah, it is a really nice deck. They actually have a tarot deck. So this is the after tarot. They actually have a before tarot. I don't have that deck. But it is kind of like a set if you are looking around. So to get into the guidebook, let me just move this. I'm not very fond of the guidebook. I just don't like it the way that it's set up. Let me show you what I mean. So they have, So they have all of the cards kind of bunched up together. So yeah, they have it by numbers. So the threes. So you have all of the three cards right here in this example. So you have the Empress, you have the Hanged Man, you have the World, Three of Wands, Three of Cups, Three of Swords, Three of Pentacles, and then it goes into the fours. I personally don't like that setup. I just wish it was a regular guidebook. I think the guidebook kind of stops me from using this deck, which I feel like isn't necessarily fair, but it kind of just drives me crazy. Because I want to use the guidebook with this deck because I like to know the changes of everything, and the guidebook, it just throws me off. I don't know what the thought process was when using this, like creating this deck. It just, I don't know. I don't know, but it is a lovely deck, and one day here I will get over. I will get over it. Today is not today, but one day it will be. So I'm not really, too pressed about it, not too worried. But I wanted to include this deck anyways because I don't really see a lot of people talking about it. And I also don't see people talking about the Big Four Tarot, which, granted, I don't talk about it because I don't have it, but, I only wanted the After Tarot. So yeah, that was that. Next deck I have to talk about, this is the last tarot deck. So the next one I have is the Back to the Future tarot deck by Insight Editions. I don't see a lot of people talking about this, and it could just be because people are not, fans of Back to the Future, or they just don't know about it or whatever, which is totally fair. This is more of a fandom deck, so I don't see a lot of people talking about it if it's not like their thing. But I mean, this is wonderful. I love this deck. Again, it is by Insight Editions, so I know sometimes their decks can be a hit or miss. I will say that this is a deck that is fully illustrated. I think out of this deck it's only about 2 cards in here that are kind of like Pippish, but it's really thick. It is matte. It's lovely. Here are the backs of them. As you can see, no gilding or edging. I really love this art style. I think it is so fun. It's very bright and vibrant, and I don't know. I just think it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Again, it is a fandom deck, so of course not a lot of people will be talking about it or even have it, but I feel like Back to the Future kind of has like a big fandom. I feel like they kind of have a big fandom, so I don't know. I thought I would just see more people using this deck and having it. But I will say, you know, Inside Editions, if you're worried about it being a little bit too Pippish, they did an excellent job. They did an excellent job, I would have to say. If you know the movie, you know what's going on. Even if you need to like refresh yourself, the guidebook does a good job of reminding you. This is one of the cards that are kind of like Pippish. I don't know why they chose this kind of layout. It could be that I'm mistaken. I don't remember the scene, but I'll just have to look at the guidebook to kind of see what's going on. That's one of the cards. King of Clocks, Magician. I love Doc. It's so funny. And then to take a look at the guidebook, it also does like a really good job of just explaining what's going on. You get an upright and reverse meaning, and it goes on like this for the entire deck. I think, yeah, got some cool spreads in here as well. This spread, I should do that. Road Ahead tarot spread. That'd be fun to do. Yeah, this deck is just a lot of fun, and I think Inside Editions. This is actually my first Inside Editions tarot deck ever. They knocked it out of the park, so I am happy that this exists. I have one more deck in this category for tarot. So hopefully this video isn't too long, but I think people on TarotTube that watches it and whatnot kind of like longer videos, so I don't know. I'm a yapper, obviously. I talked about in my last video as well. Oh, here are the backs of them. I don't know how to categorize this deck. I kind of feel like it's wrong to say it's a fandom deck. Because this is like a, you know, real person, or was a real person. So I don't know. I don't know what to say about this deck, but I mean, I feel like Princess Diana, her legacy, you know, still lives on, and I just think that people should have this deck. They should know about it. If, you know, they want a little bit of her energy and their spiritual practice, I certainly do. I think she's a wonderful being. I just think that she's wonderful. I just think that she's wonderful. I won't get too much into it because I just really love her. But yeah, I love using this deck whenever I can, whenever I am called to. This is actually a deck that kind of feels too precious for me to use all the time. So I am very picky whenever I pick this deck out. But I feel like a lot of people don't know that this deck exists. But yeah, a Diana tarot deck is here. It is available. So go get it. it's wonderful. I think having this deck has definitely helped me in my spiritual practice and personal life. And yeah. It does come with a guidebook, but it is only online. So once you buy the deck from the creator, you will get like a code to the website to get the guidebook. It does come with this little pamphlet right here. This is the artist Jennifer May Raylan. Comes with that, and then right here, and then this on the back page right here has the code, so I'm not going to flip it over. But yeah, it is worth the money and the time to get to know the deck if you really like Princess Diana. So those are the tarot decks. Moving on to Oracle, we have quite a few, so okay. Let's see, what am I going to start with? See, some of the decks kind of go into pairs. So I think I'm going to start with the first pairing here. Yeah, I'm going to start with the first pairing. And both of these decks are for Greek mythology. I talked about this deck in my last video. I'll put the other one right here. I talked about this deck in my last video. I believe so. So I'll just quickly go through it. Get this out of the box. Here's the box. I really love these. Oh my gosh. It is so beautiful. I wish I had like a poster of this. It has a lot of information and a lot of different people that you'll come across in Greek mythology in this deck. I believe it is, yep, it is 50 cards in this deck. So you do get quite a lot. I think the perfect size, like I think the perfect amount of cards for an Oracle deck is like 45 cards, 40, 45. So I think this is like a perfect amount if you're wanting to get into Greek mythology or just have a Greek mythology deck. You do get a lot of information and a lot of myths right here, just in the palm of your hand. This deck has seriously changed my life. I love using it. It is a deck that usually stays out all the time in my collection for my spiritual practice. So I hold this deck very deeply to my heart. The guidebook is also really good. Again, the guidebook is also really good to get some information about the myth and then how to apply it to your life. So that's the first Greek mythology cards, or first Greek mythology deck. The second one, this one's actually newer in my collection. It is the Mythic Oracle. Now, I don't see people talking about this deck a whole lot, but I really don't see people talking about this one, which is just kind of crazy to me because I feel like a lot of people are into Greek mythology, so it's kind of crazy to see that a lot of people don't talk about these decks. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of crazy. So it comes with this really, really nice guidebook. And then the cards. I really like the setup. I like the yellow, how it I like the design of it. I like the yellow and the browns that go together. Okay. And then here are the backs, right? And then the cards. I really, really, really love this deck. I didn't get this deck initially because I wasn't too sold on the artwork of it all, because it's just like not my style, but I have grown to love it. I think it is so unique and fun, and I don't have any other deck like this with this kind of art style. I think I said in my last video I could be kind of picky with art styles, but I've grown to really like this and appreciate it. So yeah, it is just so fun to use, and I will say this deck actually goes into more depth than the other one, but they are still both profound and usable. I use this deck a little bit more now than the other one because they have, you know, different people in each deck, and I'm trying to get to know the people in here that are not featured in the other deck. But some of them do cross, obviously. But yeah, you know, it just depends. I would say it's beneficial to have both of the decks, if you choose so, in your collection, if you're really interested in Greek mythology and wanting to learn about it, or to refresh yourself or anything like that. This is the guidebook. I really love this guidebook. It goes into a lot of information, more than the other one, right? But it is so good. It is so good, right? So again, you get like the myth and then the message. And it goes like that for every card, and it does break them up into like sections. So like the heroes, the gods, right? Oh, and then you have like your credits right here. And oh my gosh, listen, what I love about this one is that it tells you how to pronounce it, because I really appreciate this. As a person who doesn't really know how to pronounce their names, I really appreciate this section on how one may have pronounced it way back when. So I think that is really nice. I feel like a lot of decks should kind of have that in their guidebooks. I think they should include that instead of people just guessing. But you know, that is just me. So the Mythic Oracle and the Greek mythology reading cards. I kind of put these two as a pair because they're kind of like the same, but then again they're not. But same kind of topic of Greek mythology. Alrighty, so I actually have another pair that is kind of like that, and it is my Angelarium decks right here. This one is the first, I believe, first Oracle deck that Peter Moorbacher, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, made, that he put out. This is mass market. This is from Lo Scarabeo. And the guidebook is really good. I don't know if I included this in my other video or not. I'm not too sure. But here are the backs right here. Not edged or gilded. This is a Lo Scarabeo deck, so you know that it only has 36 cards, right? 36. Oh, no, sorry, this has 33. This has 30. This has 33 cards. I think their standard is 36. 32 or 36. But this one has 33. I think it's just this deck that does that. But anyways, I really love this deck. I love his artwork. I think it is so special. the meanings that you get out of this, like the readings, it is just wonderful. I don't know. I just think this is just wonderful. I think it's great. Um, I love the artwork, and to see him do his art in real time. It's just really magnificent to see, and it is very intriguing. And in the state of the world where we are seeing the rise of AI, I really appreciate artists like Peter Moorbacher. Like I am a person who doesn't support AI. I am so I don't like AI. Sorry. I won't get into it, but I love having people like Peter Moorbacher, who deck is the Angelarium Oracle of the Fallen. This one isn't by Lo Scarabeo. This is actually by Page Street. This is my first deck by them, and let me tell you, the production quality is quite different. It's a little bit more luxurious than the Lo Scarabeo one. I'm not too sure why the publishers got switched. I believe Will Scarabeo was supposed to do this one, but then something happened, so then Page Street picked it up, if I'm not mistaken. I could be totally wrong, honestly, but I'm not too sure. Here are the insides. Guidebook, and then the back. So it was, oh, you have like this little stand right here. I don't know why they did that. Just, I don't know. Whatever. It is a little bit different. These are actually matte as opposed to the glossy cards that you see in the first deck. My camera is probably not picking it up well, but first of all, can we address the backs? These are, wow, beautiful. Absolutely stunning. But these are the back. Oh, look. You can kind of see that it's raised, embossed, and it has like spot gloss, I believe. I believe that's the term, spot gloss, on it. But yeah, you can definitely see a little bit of a difference. I bet the other one is glossy. This feels a little bit more of higher quality. But you can also get this. This is also mass market, just a different publisher, right? This is one of my favorite cards. I really want this in print. If you're interested in his artwork, definitely go on his website because he does sell posters and like other little things that you can get. This is one of my favorite. I really love this card. But yeah, I really like the world of Angelarium that he is building, and that of what he's built. I think he's been doing this for years now. It is so interesting, so interesting. Yeah, I just love this art style. And the guidebook is so wonderful. I feel like I know what's going on when it comes to this. This deck is a little bit new in my collection, so I haven't worked with it all the way. But from what I know, and from what I've pulled and read, it's just magnificent as much as the first deck that came out. So consistency is there. I also love this one. I would say the only thing if I had to complain about something about this deck, the only thing that it would, have to be is that it's not numbered. So you kind of have to, look around in the guidebook. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it is kind of something. It is kind of something. But I mean, you'll live, right? And you get like a little nice write-up for all of the cards, and it is kind of broken up into like sections. I think like 2 sections in here. Let me go to like, feel like a little bit express. Yeah, 2 sections. So you got the Watcher's Fall. You have like all the different angels, right? And then you have the personas. And that's pretty much it. And I think in the first deck, it's kind of built out the same way. So that is also a pairing of Oracle decks that I have, just because it's by the same person. So you might as well just include them both. And I don't see a lot of people talking about these 2 decks ever. And I think they're so fun. They're so fun. Okay. So now these other decks are kind of like their own standalone. Into my archetype cards by Caroline Miss. I don't see this deck a lot. Now I don't know why. I listen, I've actually seen this deck in some videos. But that was like years ago. Actually, in one of the videos, the person had their deck edged in red. So guess what? I edged mine in red as well. I thought it was so cute. I thought it was so cute. And this is a deck that is it's glossy. It's glossy, so you can kind of mess up on the Sharpie a little bit and get it like on the front card. And if you take like some alcohol, rubbing alcohol, you know, and gently like wipe it, it'll go away. So I thought, it was a fun project to do, and I personally love it. But you can definitely see where I messed up at. But I don't know. I like it. I like it. But anyways, I don't see a lot of people talking about this deck. I don't really see it being used in readings or like in casual videos. So, I mean, this deck is just wonderful. It is quite a substantial deck. It's by Hay House, and it is the glossy cardstock. And let's see, it's an 80 card deck, but this stack right here is 74 cards, and then you have 6 cards where you can kind of make your own. I didn't make my own, and I'm not going to, but but yeah, 74 cards. Well, 80 in total, but 74 if you don't want to make your own. I really love this deck, and I feel like people should use it more. People should talk about it more, because it is really, really helpful to identify certain behaviors, characteristics about yourself, about others, whether it's like a light attribute or a shadow attribute. And I mean, it covers a lot of things. It covers a lot of things, and it does it so well. I mean, look, I love the art style of it as well. I feel like this would actually pair with like a lot of things. This card, okay, I love anime and manga. This card always reminds me of Oikawa, if you know who I'm talking about. I don't know, I think it's because like the hair, and of course he would be your prince. That card just always reminds me of Oikawa. But anyways, this deck is just so fun to use. I love it. Vampire. I will say the guidebook, it's okay. I feel like you get all the information you need on the card, right? And I feel like you could probably work with this deck with like chakras, maybe. I don't know anything about chakras, but I was just thinking about that while flipping through this deck right now, and how it's like colored, and maybe you can do something with the colors as well. I don't think the guidebook kind of talks about the color, but I could be mistaken. I love this card. Look how pretty. To get into the guidebook, as I said, it's okay, you know, but you get most of your information that you would need on the card itself. But it does offer you a little bit of, you know, a little bit more. Good thing about this guidebook is that it does go in alphabetical order, so that's good. But yeah, Caroline Myss and the archetype cards. This is obviously also mass market because it's by Hay House. Next, I am going to talk about Dante's Inferno. I feel like I possibly have seen this deck around, but I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure. I think when it first came out, people were talking about it, but then I feel like the hype kind of died down. I don't know. I think this is a wonderful shadow deck to work with and to have in one's collection. The artwork is absolutely amazing. It kind of reminds me of Peter Moorbacher's artwork, just a little bit, by the intensity and like the use of color. But this deck is such a wonderful shadow deck. I don't really have a lot of shadow decks. I don't. I think this is like, I think I only have two, and this is one of them. This is one of them. And I'm so glad it's this. Like the intensity of the color. I feel like when you use this deck, you can just feel the emotion and what's going on. And I feel like the guidebook also does a good job of explaining what's going on and how it relates to you in your life or to the question you're asking. So even if you're not familiar with Dante's Inferno or with the work, you will still learn, you know, you will still learn and understand what it means, because the guidebook is really that good. Oh. Los Scarabeo, so it does come in different languages. But yeah, you get the journey. So you get the portion of the writing where it is in the story, right? The journey, and then what it means in a divination sense. And it goes like that for all of the cards. I don't think this has spreads. Oh, yes it does. The Divine Comedy spread. I feel like that'd be fun to use. I should do that. But yeah, I think this is a wonderful deck. I was really interested in this deck because I'm sure people don't know because I never said this before, but I am actually a philosophy major. So yeah, I feel like I had to get the deck because, I mean, it fits so perfectly. But yeah, it is still a great deck that people should definitely look into. Alrighty. Another deck that is kind of like my shadow deck is my Fairy Godmother deck. Now, I really don't see this one online a lot. And I don't know why, because if you see the art style, I feel like this really, to me, this depicts fairies accurately in my practice and how I see them. But this is a deck that doesn't shy away from the shadow aspects of life, and I feel like a good oracle deck does that. And I feel like everybody kind of needs an oracle deck that kind of swings both ways, right? The positive aspects of life and then the negative. And this one does this so perfectly by the cards in here. This is a Llewellyn deck, and it's 40 cards. So it's just wonderful. I'm gilded. Here are the backs. I really love this star. It's so pretty. And you just have cards like this, right? Discernment, divine love, celebrations, identity, dreams, rejection. So you have like shadow cards like this, like rejection, shame, you know, and like neutral cards like venture, knowledge, truthfulness, awakening. This really reminds me of a fairy tale. Like this is the magic mirror, and this is the scene, and then this is what's going on the keyword. I don't know why people don't talk about this deck a lot. I don't know why it's not being used, and it's just so wonderful. Mother Nature, healing. I'm trying to get to other shadowy decks or shadowy cards. Fickleness, vulnerability, exertion, encouragement, blossoming, insecurity, gratuity, wish, companionship, rejuvenation, abundance, authenticity, self-worth, abandonment, wisdom, authority, victimhood. Such a good card to have in such a deck like this. You know, guilt. It's a wonderful deck, and I feel like the guidebook is wonderful as well. Oh, you have insecurity. Cool. So you get like a little write-up right here, like a little spell right here, I guess you could say, and then the fairy godmother's message, which I think does a good job of just being so truthful and hard-hitting when it needs to be. I love this deck, and I'm surprised that a lot of people either don't know about it or they just, you know, kind of don't use it. To me, this is kind of how fairies are kind of depicted, kind of like in the fairy tales, right? But I know for everybody it's a little bit different. And then to get into the other fairy deck that I have, which is kind of a little bit of a shadowy deck as well. It is the Fairy Forest by Lucy Cavendish. This is by Blue Angel, and this is in the matte cardstock. I think when this deck first came out, it was in glossy cardstock. But yeah, I love this green. It's so pretty. Okay. And here is the backs of them. I love how detailed it is. It's so pretty. I did edge mine in black Sharpie. That's because it matches. And yeah, I mean, I really like this deck. I am personally a person that likes to have glossy cards. I love glossy decks. So when this came out in matte, I was a little bit disappointed because I thought I had enough. I didn't think they would switch so soon, but it's fine. I still think the artwork is stunning, but I would have preferred it to be glossy cardstock. Anyways, I mean, look at this. This is also how I kind of see fairies in my practice a little bit. This has, yeah, the shadowy deck. So you have cards like this with the key or the title and then 3 keywords. And this is a really good predictive deck as well. Oh, look at this. I love the intensity, destruction, ending, final moment. Such a powerful deck, right? Blood month, sacrifice offerings, decision. I mean, look at this. This is just gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. I don't use it a whole bunch. I should. Um, the way that I use this in my practice is a little bit unconventional, I guess you could say. But I am still trying to figure out how to perfectly use it and get it into rotation and whatnot. So sorry if my camera's like freaking out. I just noticed that. But yeah, I don't really see this deck being talked about all that much, and it surprises me. And the guidebook is really good too. I feel like you can expect a really good guidebook from Lucy Cavendish. She knocks it out of the park all the time. But yeah, this is what it is looking like right here. And you do get some spreads, I think. They're in the back. Oh. Yeah, or sorry, in the front. I've tried a spread in here, I think. And it was it was a fun experience. It was a fun experience. I think it was this one that I did. The Cycles of the Full Moon spread. But the other spreads kind of look fun to use. But yeah, you do get a lot of information, and it is really fun to use. I just need to use it more in my practice. Okay, but yeah, that was the Fairy Forest Oracle deck. This is the Friends Oracle deck, the one with all the oracles. This is also another fandom deck, so I could see why people may not have this in their collection and why people are probably not talking about it. But same thing with the Back to the Future. I feel like it has a huge fandom, so I'm kind of surprised that a lot of people aren't talking about it. This is by RP Studio. And I don't like the box. If you have an RP Studio deck, you can see why. It comes like with the guidebook like this, and you have to get it out like that, and then you have to do this to get the cards out. And then, yeah, I mean, it's cute, right? But I'm not too fond of it. Not too fond of it. And I think they do all their decks like that. But yeah, it's different. That's all I can pretty much say about that. Anyways, here are the backs. Now, the box is one of the things that I kind of have a complaint about. The other one, unfortunately, is that if you look at the back, right, you can kind of like see, if you're familiar with Friends, you can kind of see who is who. But why does Chandler, why does he have red hair? Why? I don't know what happened here, but why? I love Friends. I am such it is my favorite TV series of all time, really. I just want to know, why does Chandler have hair like this? Like, why is it almost similar to Rachel's hair? Right? I don't know. I love this deck still. It's such a small complaint. I think it is kind of funny. I wish it was done correctly, obviously, but it is what it is. I still love this deck because it brings about a lot of good memories, and like, it brings me a lot of joy because it is a fandom deck and I love using it. I know Friends. I know the story. Oh God. I know Friends. I know the story, right? I know what the cards mean. Again, Chandler, the Joker. But why? I think I'm just going to keep questioning why. Because everybody else's hair looks fine. Like Monica, black, right? Oh my gosh. I just pivot. Joey, right, the correct hair and the correct outfit too. The chicken, the duck, the brides, oh my gosh, the recliner, the turkey. Such a sweet moment, right? Gladys. The plane ticket. The English trifle. Oh my gosh. Again, a lot of fun memories, and I love the series. So it is kind of funny about Chandler's hair. It is a bit unfortunate because I feel like more care and attention should have went into production, but it is kind of funny that it would happen to Chandler, right? So I'm not all that mad about it, but I can see why people are kind of passing on it if they are because of that reason. The helpless romantic Rachel. The Muse. The dollhouse. The box of mocklets. And then the guidebook also really does a good job of explaining things. Again, this isn't numbered, so you kind of have to like look around. It's not that big of a deal, but I think we should have numbered cards. I think we should have numbered cards so it's a little bit easier. This deck, yeah, has 40 cards, which is perfect for me because I think 40 is a good number for an Oracle deck to start out with. So yeah, let me put this up. See, it's also really annoying to get out the cards in the guidebook and then to actually put it up as well. And I feel like because you have to put it in like that little slit, it kind of messes up the guidebook here because you can kind of see that happening right there. But I mean, I still love it. I use it a lot, and I'm glad it's in my collection. I'm glad it exists. I really hope a France Tarot comes out. I know there was an unofficial version that came out a couple years ago, but I would like something to be official. Personally, but yeah. Okay, we're almost done. I'm gonna go through this deck. Now, I did mention this deck in my last video. It is the Witches Through History Grimoire and Oracle deck. Not crazy about the box production of it as well. I need to get a bag for this deck just so I can just put the box in storage because I'm not too impressed by it. But yeah. Anyways, this deck is a deck that I feel like a lot of people passed up on, so I'm going to bring it up again as I did in my last video. I mean, it is a wonderful deck. This deck has only 25 cards, which I realize a lot of people are kind of passing on because of that. But I mean, the cards that you get and the book is well worth the money that you are spending. And I feel like more people should just give it a chance. And I feel like Devin Forrest, the author and the artist, is so well versed in witchcraft and all things magic that you should want to read his words and what he has to offer into this space because it is really valuable. And I mean, it's well thought out. It's wonderful. And I feel like a lot of people should just know more about it. And like, I love the art style. And this deck, not this deck, but he is coming out with a calendar, which I am so excited to get. I feel like that'll be so fun. It goes over like the full moons, different seasons, and like all the fun stuff that you would expect in a witchy calendar. And I love his art style. So I'm really excited to have that and use it. But to go into the book here, the grimoire, this is again 25 cards, but then you get this. So it's well worth your money. It is thick. It's wonderful. If you're wanting, if like, especially if you are wanting, again, especially if you are wanting to know the history about different witches and what went on, if you're trying to get into witchcraft, it has a lot of history in it. This is focuses on a lot of histories and like different tools that you can use and a lot of good ideas and and a lot of systems as well. So if you're wanting to know the history about witchcraft or you're trying to get into it, trying to find your place, this is honestly a great book to start off with. And it's so well thought out. It's well done. I mean, don't make the mistake of passing on this, really. And you do get meanings for the cards, right? And so there are divided into suits, 5 suits, and you get 5 cards for each suit, so that makes 25, right? And this is what you're getting. And look at this, so pretty. Here and wide tales of women, both wicked and wise, for open minds and curious eyes. Delightful. Okay. So yeah, I don't see this deck a lot. I don't, and I think that is a tragedy within itself. Because I just think this deck should be out there more and people should just know about it more. Okay. So we're almost there. I have Clave's Astrologique, I believe. This isn't mass market. I actually got this on their website. I think they have a tarot deck as well that kind of goes with this deck. It opens up like this. Has like this little pull out thing. And then the cards. I really like the production of this deck. They are gilded and it's soft. It's soft. I know some gilding can be hard, but this is really soft. And then here are the backs. And as you can imagine, this is a astrology deck. It's a limited color palette, but I think it works really, really well. I really like using this deck. I don't see a lot of people using it or having it in their videos or on their posts or whatever. And I think I would say this is a bit of a more advanced astrology deck because this right here, this little pamphlet, I don't know if they have more resources on their website, but what you get in this deck is just like a little write-up right here. So it doesn't really explain to you what is going on and whatnot. So it is a little bit more advanced, but you can make it work with the keywords. You can make it work. And you can definitely just learn. And I love using this deck. I think it is so fun. Yeah. I love the limited color palette that we have. And yeah, it's really fun. So that is that deck. And it looks like a little book, like the box. Let me show you guys. It looks like a little book, and I think that's so neat. It's so neat. I love little things like that. Okay. So next up, we have the Cosmic Pearl Oracle. You can't really see that. Oh, there we go. If I tilt it this way, you can. The Cosmic Pearl Oracle by Ashley Frost and Leah Shulman. This is by Sacred Scribe Publishing. I really like this duo that's going on. It has like a little bit of wording right here. You are a living prayer. I really like this duo. I think the artwork is so fun. It is a little bit out there. Out there meaning that it is kind of like collagey, I guess. A little chaotic. But I really like it. I think it is so fun. I don't really have any complaints about this deck. It is a matte rose petally finish on here, which feels really, really nice. It is also a mass market deck, right? But it feels really nice. And you get the title of the card and then 3 keywords to kind of help you out. But yeah, I don't really have any complaints about this deck. And I feel like if you are looking for a love oracle, like for relationships, for yourself, for others, or whatever, this is one of them. This is just so beautiful. The only complaint I have about this deck is that there is a card titled, I think it's called Libra Energy, right? And obviously this is a, love deck, so Venus is going to be involved, but there's not a Taurus energy card. Both Libra and Taurus energy. So that's my only complaint is that it only mentions Libra energy in here. And I'm just like, well, Taurus is also important to Venus, right? So that's really my only complaint. I have my Venus in Taurus in the 7th house, so I'm like, I want a full representation of Venus if she's gonna be anywhere. So yeah, that's my thing, but it's not really a big deal. I still use this deck a lot. And look at, like, this is so beautiful, right? It's really a beautiful deck, and I just don't see a lot of people using it or talking about it. This is the card that I was just talking about. See, Libra energy, but it doesn't mention Taurus. Oh gosh. But other than that, it's a beautiful deck, and I feel like I love this card. I feel like people should have it. And it's in this pretty blue. Blue is my favorite color, so I'm a little biased, right? And it's pretty blue. And then the guidebook is also really good. You get this for every card. So yeah, the Cosmic Pearl Oracle. All right, one more deck. Wow. Okay, we did it. We did it, guys. Okay, so the next deck I have up, and the last deck, it's the Enchanted Blossoms Oracle deck. Listen, I don't think I've ever seen anybody talk about this deck on TerraTube, on Instagram, TikTok, whatever. I just don't see it. And listen, it's so fun to use and like so different. This is by Blue Angel, so it is mass market. It has, how many cards come in here? 44 cards, which is a good size or good amount, at least for me. Blue Angel has like their big boxes, guidebook, and then the cards. Okay, here are the backs. Now, I don't mind wording on the backs. I personally don't care because I'm not looking at the backs most of the time. So, you know what? Artists, do whatever you want to do. I'm not looking at the backs all that much. They're not edged or gilded in any way. What makes this deck so fun to use is that it's flowers and dragons. What a weird combination, right? Because I would have never thought to pair them together, but it's so beautiful. This is one of my flower decks. I only have this one, Botanical Inspirations, and then Seed and Sickle. So only three, and they're all so different. I just don't see people using this. I don't see people using this, and I am just amazed by that because of what this deck can offer people and readings and life. Now, this is a deck that kind of doesn't go into the shadowy aspects, so it is kind of missing that bit from it, but it is still a good deck to use. It's so fun. The artwork is extremely beautiful. I mean, I love how the dragons are incorporated into the flowers. It's very bright and vibrant, and I love the size of the deck. It's a little bit different from what you're typically seeing. And yeah, I mean, it's just so great to use, and just to have in my collection is so different, and I love pulling this out because I get reminded of how wonderful it is to go into the guidebook. It's so fun. This actually works well for a bedtime deck, because when you go into the guidebook, see, we have compassion. It actually gives you like questions to think about. How can I show myself more compassion and understanding? Who needs my compassion? Who needs my compassion today? I feel like having this as a bedtime deck is good. I've used it in that way, and I really loved it. I'm still trying to figure out how my bedtime practice will take place, but I'm pretty sure this deck will be part of it because it does offer like really great reflective questions that you can think about, in the write-ups as well is great. It's wonderful. So yeah, I mean, dragons, flowers, reflective questions. What more can you want in a deck, really? But yeah, that was the last deck that I had to show you guys for my underrated decks that I don't really see out and about all that much. So thank you for sitting with me if you made it all the way through to this video. Or you just skipped around, which is perfectly fine. My feelings are not hurt. I know this video is probably very, very long. I'm so sorry about that. But yeah, it was fun to do this little video, and I hope to see you guys in the next one.